We hope you had a happy holidays. We have some soccer to talk about, specifically a scrappy Forest in England.
And it's the same old thing in Italy. Plus, much, much more on this episode of the No Business Soccer Podcast.
Let's dig in. I was thinking I was going to run out of breath on that one. Danny P was making me draw it out anyway. Hey guys, welcome back to the No Business Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Snooze, and we're here with the full fam today for as little bit as we can. We got J-Fam, the Brainiac in the back, and we also got Danny P on the ones and twos. Plus, the fan favorite, my boy, Hype Man Vic. Hype Man, what you sipping on, dog?
First and foremost, sorry about the hair. I don't really have a hat that fits a Fiorentina jersey, so we're just all gonna have to deal with it. We all know. But I am sipping on. I'm actually almost done. I went to a bourbon drop at Specs this past weekend, and I got a Michter's limited release toasted barrel finish. Absolutely amazing, so good, very caramelly, and really good. But once I am done with this, I got myself a Christmas beer called a Scaldis Noel.
Okay.
Belgium. So, it's Christmas time. It's kind of cold every now and then. Not here in Texas. It was like 86 today, but
yeah, no, it's almost 90.
Well, beer's gonna go good in this weather.
Oh, so. Damn, my boy's double fisting. I see. And I can hear my dog barking over here. I don't know what's going on. Something's happening. But anyway, we have a lot to talk about. Actually, we don't have too much to talk about, but we do have a little bit to talk about. First, we're going to go over the Boxing Day matches that happened in the Premier League very quickly, and then we'll get into the regularly scheduled graphics and all the cool stuff that my boy Hype Man Vic does behind the scenes for Match Day 19, and then we also have Serie A Match Day. Is it 19? Match Day 18.
Yeah, it's 18.
18, okay. So I do want to just say one thing before we continue. The inside joke that we have here is that my boy Hype Man Vic's hair is all messed up, but it looks exactly like my daughter's hair. So if we ever have a picture of my daughter in here, we have to put them side by side because they have like very similar, just crazy ass hair.
Your daughter has a full head of hair.
I know, it's crazy. And like now your hair's like cute to me. Is that weird? Because I see my daughter's hair on you. Oh man, what a weird time. What a weird time. Okay, well, let's jump into it. Let's go to the Prem.
To the Prem. That was quick. I wasn't ready for that. My bad.
I like how I didn't have the keys to the car right there.
Yeah.
Like, man. Okay. Well, let's jump into it. We'll do with like I was saying, we're going to start with the Boxing Day matches that happen. First off, we have Manchester City. This was all on Boxing Day, Thursday, December 26th. Manchester City got an early goal against Everton, but they don't call Everton the Giant Slayers for nothing, as one goal was not enough, as Ndai's goal was enough to split the points. I know Danny P's happy in the back there. Newcastle beat Aston Villa 3-0 at home, and up to this point, Aston Villa were right there in the thick of it, but an early red card for Duran sent them spiraling. And Nottingham Forest continue to establish themselves as European candidates as they get an early goal on the road against Tottenham and are able to see this one out in a gritty 1-0 win. Spurs prove, what's the point of having all this possession if you don't score any goals, right, Vic? Palace and Bournemouth go 0-0, which continues Palace's great run of results, and the cherries are still tickling the European places, as Vic says. We'll get to the table in a couple of minutes. Fulham get a 2-1 win at Chelsea after trailing virtually the entire match. You're a wizard. Harry Wilson gets the 82nd minute equalizer, and then in the 95th minute he finds Rodrigo Muniz for the winner. Incredible match. Check out the highlights if you haven't seen it. West Ham get a scrappy 1-0 win against Southampton, which was just what the Hammers needed, but for those Saints it's dark days. And what was really an incredible turnaround, or what has been an incredible turnaround, Vitor Pereira's Wolves follow up their win against Leicester with a 2-0 win against Manchester United. Molyneux was jacked, and that was just awesome to see. Their season's pretty much saved, and I'm going to call it. Liverpool get 3 unanswered goals after going down a goal to Leicester, thanks to Mo Salah continuing to prove that he is not human, and he's actually an Egyptian god. For real. And on Sunday, Brighton and Brentford in 0-0. We can't talk about those. Arsenal do the needful, and they beat Ipswich 1-0 at home. And that was your Boxing Day matches. And that was a lot to say, but we got a little bit more to say, Vic. Premier League Match Day 19 also happened, and we'll run through those really quick as well. We had a lot of matches to talk about, a lot of fun too. On Sunday, Manchester City finally get a win, and there's not too many teams better to get a win against than Leicester right now. Savinho gets his first City goal and then puts one on a plate for Haaland. This one in City 2, Leicester 0. Forest get their 5th Premier League win in a row as they take care of Everton 2-0. Chris Wood gets a ridiculous goal and then turns around and plays creator for Morgan Gibbs-White, MGW. What a crazy thing to see Forest playing this well. It's really cool. And under Nuno Espirito Santo. Did I say that? It sounds pretty cool when you say it like that. Yeah, good. Right? Nonetheless, he was with Spurs for a whole 2 weeks. That was crazy. And now he's second in the table with Forest. Cool. Palace get a 2-1 win over Southampton, and that's now only one loss in their last 5 matches in the Prem for Palace, which is pretty freaking cool for them the way they started. Southampton with 6 points is basically a lock to go down at this point. Wolves continue their awesome run of form under new boss Vitor Pereira, this time with a 2-2 draw with Spurs on the road nonetheless. The fact that Spurs are glad to come away with a point in this one tells you exactly where Spurs are at the moment. Fulham and Bournemouth played a match to jockey for those European places, and they split the points 2-2. Your wizard, Harry Wilson, does it again. A 72nd minute goal looked like the winner until the Cherries get a filthy equalizer in the 89th minute thanks to Autara. That's how you pronounce it, I think.
So, yeah.
Liverpool added another good chunk of goals to that goal differential with a 5-0 win over West Ham and added another chunk of points to their title run as well. Looks like we're pretty much locking it up. Maybe we'll have some flowers later. We'll see. Salah is playing like a Ballon d'Or winner at the moment. Luis Diaz is good, and all vibes are good as well in Liverpool. And on Monday, which was today, Ipswich pull off the upset of the weekend as they get the W against Chelsea in a 2-0 win at home. I did not see that coming. Maybe we did because I gave them flowers, and we know how that turns out. Maybe. Aston Villa and Brighton drew 2-2, and Amorim struggles with Manchester United continue as they fall at home to Newcastle 2-0. That's now 4 wins in a row for Newcastle and gets them into the European places, I believe. Vic's going to tell us here in a second, though. Arsenal and Brentford are the last match they play on New Year's Day. The only match on New Year's Day, by the way. So, Vic, tell us what that table looked like.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's still very beautiful. Liverpool are on top with 45 points, 3 straight wins to keep them on top and maintain that point differential, like you were saying earlier. The surprise, though, is Nottingham Forest with 5 straight wins, 37 points in the second spot. Man, they are looking good. It's all red up top. In number 3 is Arsenal as well. They just got 2 wins in a row, making sure they maintain one of their top 4 spots. They've been near the top the entire time, so looking pretty good for them as well. And again, as soon as Snooze gives you some flowers, Chelsea fall to the 4th spot with a draw and 2 losses in their last 3 matches. They have 5 points.
I can't believe it.
Everybody can believe it. Newcastle United holds down the Europa League spot right now with 32 points. They're on a 3-game winning streak and looking pretty good. But man, Manchester City right outside those European, in the conference championship, but right outside the bigger name European title tournaments there in the 6th spot with 31 points. And Snooze, I think Manchester City had 23 points heading out of week 9 from them, have only gotten 8 points since then, giving them 31 points. We're at week 19. So crazy to see them in 6th place now with their historic skid. And, we beat up on Leicester last week. Manchester City beat up on them this time. So it was a good time for them to face Leicester. So, but if we take a look at the bottom, Ipswich Town and the 18th spot with 15 points, just getting a win, making sure they're not in the 19th spot like Leicester City is with 14 points. And at the very bottom is Southampton with 6 points. They only have 1 point in their last 7 matches with a draw and not doing very well. But man, Snooze, let me tell you, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they have 2 wins and a draw, giving them 7 points in their last 3 games. Yes. And if they had not done that, they'd be in the 19th spot. With only 9 points. Snooze, think you're going to tell us a little bit more about some Wolverhampton Wanderers?
You're a pro. You are such a pro.
Mm.
Wolves and Vitor Pereira. How do you say it? Pajeda? I'm always bad.
Yeah,
I'm really bad at those. But Vitor, he has turned their season around, and in no time. It's really crazy to see. We're just gonna call him VP, so I don't have to keep running into this. So VP, he took over for Gary O'Neill, and Wolves were in 19th place with just 9 points from 16 matches. So they were in 19th, 9 points, 16 matches. In the 3 matches that VP has been in charge of Wolves, they've won 2 and drawn 1 to earn 7 points to bring themselves out of the relegation zone. So 9 points in 16 matches. He's had 3 and has 7 points. Boy's doing something, and it's crazy. As I mentioned before, VP has a ton of experience as he's wanted to be in the Prem for a while now. In a podcast I was listening to, they were talking about all of his different characteristics, his quirks that make him such a good manager, but also kind of rub people wrong. One of the things that he said in many interviews is that he could have been in the Prem a long time ago, but he's impatient. He's not going to wait for someone to call him. He's going to go and make a move in another league until he feels that the move is right for him. Essentially saying, like, you're not going to just call on me when you need me. It has to be a mutual thing. And this is why he's coached in Saudi Arabia, Portugal, Brazil, Greece, Turkey, China, pretty much anywhere else that's requiring services of a coach, and he gets to choose it, essentially. He's made an impact in every place he's been, and he has an explosive personality, so it doesn't always end well. But that's what I was talking about whenever he first got hired on. There was a lot of buzz around his hiring, not necessarily because they thought that they would turn out like this, just because we didn't know what would happen. And obviously the results speak for themselves so far, 3 matches in. Now that is a new coach bump. You know, Vic, how that works, right? Like anybody fires their head coach, you get like a little bump in the locker room. They're like happy to get out of the old regime.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever he's doing is working, and it's cool to see where Wolves are mid-season. And if this changes, keep continuing, then maybe they stay up this year. And it looks like they might just do that. What do you think?
I think so, man. They've been looking pretty good, and I've seen their highlights. I haven't watched the full game. I'm sorry. But I've seen like their highlights. I always try to watch their highlights, and I don't know. They're looking good, looking in form. It's kind of just like clicking right now. And yeah, we'll see how far they can go. I know they're just happy to be out of the relegation zone, at least.
Yeah, new coach usually doesn't return this quickly. Just look at Manchester United if you want to see how sometimes it doesn't always work this way. So, okay, that is it for Wolves. Now, to give my boy Hype Man Vic a little bit of I don't even know what I want to call this to make you happy. How about that? We've talked about this pretty much all season. Liverpool, they're good. We know that they are the best team in Europe as it stands right now, in my opinion. But we need to talk about Mohamed Salah for a minute, because currently he leads the Premier League Golden Boot race with 17 goals. He's the assist leader as well with 13, and both of those are 3 more than the next person on the board in those categories. Okay, he has 20 goals and 17 assists in all competitions, and we're essentially only at the halfway mark of these competitions, pretty much in all of the competitions. He's already got more assists and is 5 goals shy again in half of the time that he did it last season. So just to put this into perspective, last season he ended the season 23-24 with 25 goals and 14 assists. He has 20 goals and 17 assists halfway through this season. It's insane what he's doing. And of course, the biggest topic right now, I mean, obviously firing Liverpool to the top of every league they're in, but he's not getting a contract as it stands right now. He's 32 years old, but he's in, better shape than freaking 20-year-olds that I've seen. Not that I'm looking at a lot of 20-year-olds, but you know what I mean? Like, just look at him with his shirt off. He's freaking jacked. He's ripped. But he's not the only player in Liverpool that has an issue with the contract right now. And I'm sure Vic has heard about it, but just in case, we're going to say for everyone else here, TAA, Trent Alexander-Arnold, and Van Dijk are also looking for contracts with Mohamed Salah. And in case you weren't aware, if they don't sign a contract by the end of today or the end of tomorrow, they are free to start signing preemptive contracts for the end of the season with European clubs. So that includes Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, any of these teams that have all the money. It seems like Salah probably going Saudi Arabia route. But anyway, this isn't good. He's tearing it up for the team. Why aren't they giving him a contract?
I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to say. I feel like I've heard a rumor on every single direction this could go. I heard that, they already signed him to a 2-year contract. They're just waiting to like make it official, or they're not going to sign him. Also, they're just going to sign him to a contract so that if when he gets traded later, Liverpool gets some money. I don't know. It always gets this way. It just so happens that we have 3 big names that are going to be going through this right
Same
now.
exact time. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, and all of them I think are incredibly needed on our squad. But it can go anyway. I feel like he likes to stay. He likes Liverpool. He wants to stay in Liverpool. I think TAA probably wants to stay a little bit more. But I don't know. Virgil, I feel he could play anywhere and just be absolutely amazing. And I believe it or not, I'm defensive minded. If there's anyone I want to say, it's Virgil. I know Mohamed Salah can make money somewhere else and do absolutely everything, but we have 5 other pretty goddamn good strikers right behind him, or front.
I mean, I would say 1, but it's fine.
No, we got something that can tear it up.
No,
And that could also
Luis Diaz pretty good.
Yeah, Luis Diaz and Jota is pretty good. Really good.
Don't say who I think you're gonna say.
Which one? Nunez?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
No. He could just take up space, a lot of space. I mean, that's what we need him to do.
He's a body. Right? He's a body.
Yeah, and he's fast, so he's gonna worry some people. And that could also, contribute to as to why Salah is getting so many assists now. We have a lot of talent up front, and I think it's made everybody shine. It looks really good.
The podcast I was listening to today, the Athletic podcast, soccer podcast, or football podcast, they were talking about how they were talking to players who had a similar situation, obviously not at the level that these guys are at, but just in general. And they're like, yeah, if you are this close to the breaking point, essentially, a day and a half away, you have already had conversations. Like your what is it called? The person who works on your contracts, your
manager,
agent has already had conversations with all the clubs. They know what they're going to be getting, and they pretty much have a plan already. Just nothing's been announced. But that's what makes me think that it might not be Liverpool. Because if you were Liverpool, why would you wait? Like, it's just a distraction at this point. There's no point in waiting for them, unless you were saying like money things going on. I don't know. It's just weird. If you were signing them, you would think that they would have them. But the one thing that I've heard is that TAA might be heading to Real Madrid, which would be pretty crazy to see that, because obviously they need the defensive help. And I don't know if he's the best defensive player, but he's definitely the best offensive defensive player. That's a weird way to say it, but you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Anyway,
I hate seeing him back there, man. I hate seeing him back there. He needs to be a winger. So I don't know.
Probably.
To me, I don't know. I don't know. Well, I'm not a coach, obviously, but
well, this isn't a Liverpool podcast, so we've talked about that long enough. Okay.
I know. I wish it was. I'm just kidding.
We are going to talk about the team that's right below them in the table, which is crazy. Nottingham Forest have won 5 Premier League matches in a row, as Vic and I were saying. And this is the first time they've done that since the 1994-1995 season, which in this article I was reading is also the year that they qualified for Europe last. So maybe that's a little foreshadowing. I don't know. But either way, they're killing it this season. And to be on 37 points and second in the table at this point of the season is crazy. And unless they truly collapse at the back end of the year, they should see themselves in the European places. Now, whether that's the Conference League, Europa League, the Champions League, remains to be seen. But as we've seen around Europe with Girona, Bologna, and some other squads, maybe jumping into the Champions League right away if you haven't been to Europe in any capacity in a while isn't always a good thing, because those teams are struggling mightily in the league and in the Champions League. And don't talk to me about Brest, because that's hilarious. But Brest are doing amazing in the Champions League.
Yeah, they look really good.
Golly. Either way, what a fun run Forest is on. It's really cool to see them. They get Wolves, who are also in a good run of form, coming up next. And then it's Liverpool, which, let's remind everyone, they're the only team to beat Liverpool in the league this season. So maybe Liverpool are scared the most going into this one. And Liverpool, I'm giving them their flowers, because, look, they're just too good. They're just too great. They're going to win every match. And there's no way that this curse is real. They're going to win these matches. So anyway, and Forest are the only team that have beaten them. So they're going to right this wrong, and we're good to go here. So, okay.
You son of a! I try to get them not to do it. If you're Liverpool fans listening to this, supporters listening to this, try to get them not to give them their flowers because it's proven pretty. You're like at least 85% of things getting immediately worse when you give them flowers. Well, Chelsea right now being the main
insane.
example.
I was like, they're for sure not going to break. They have Ipswich and like some other teams. Like they're going to be fine. No. Okay.
So we'll break it though. We got it. We got it, guys.
Well, I'm feeling a little bit like some meatball and some pizza. So, Vic,
what do you think? Should we go to Serie A?
I'll probably be banned from doing that accent. much.
All right. Yes, you will.
Okay. Well, this is Serie A match day 18, and on Saturday, we had Genoa get 3 much-needed points away at Empoli in a match that ends 2-1. That's now 3 losses in a row for Empoli and 4 losses in their last 5 Serie A matches. Parma also gets 3 much-needed points as well as they stop their 3 points. They stopped their 3-game losing streak with a 2-1 win against Monza. Monza get the 85th minute equalizer in the 7th minute of 7 minutes of stoppage time. That's how long that made sense. 7th minute of 7 minutes of stoppage time. Thanks to a Lautaro Valenti getting a game-winning header. Crazy game. Go watch the highlights. You wouldn't think that would be the one to watch, but Parma versus Monza was really fun. Inter get their 5th straight win in the Serie A with a 3-0 win over Cagliari. And on the flip side, that's now 4 straight losses for Cagliari. Atalanta's 11-game winning streak comes to an end against our Lazio. And Lazio had lost 2 of their previous 4 matches before this one, so it definitely didn't feel like it would be them to break ATL's streak. But football is weird. It happens. Stuff happens. Sunday, Udinese and Torino split the points in an entertaining back-and-forth affair as they end 2-2. Check out Shea Adams' close-range volley. Perfection. It was awesome to see. Napoli doing Conte things as they get a scrappy 1-0 win over Venezia to keep their streak of wins going. That's now 3 in a row for Napoli, but stops Venezia's run of 3 straight games without a loss. It looks like they're going to be maybe okay. I don't know. We'll talk about them maybe here in a second. I can't remember if my notes were right. In one of the best matches of the weekend, Juve and Fiorentina. That's my boy right there, showing the love right there. Play out a 2-2 draw in Turin. A brace for Thuram, a goal from Moise Kean, because of course he's going to get a goal, and a stunning equalizer in the 86th minute by Ricardo Sotil. Man, Juve love themselves a draw. The curious case of Milan continues as they split the points with Roma in a 1-1 draw. Both teams have been up and down recently, I guess. So check out that goal from Dybala because it was perfectly worked 1-2 passing, or 1-2, perfectly one-touch passing all the way through to the goal. Dybala is awesome. I've always liked him a lot. Monday, which was today, Cutrone's brace sees Como take all 3 points against the Milkmen. Lecce have now lost multiple games in a row. I'm going to let him show you on the table, but it's not looking good for him. And Verona take home all 3 points against Bologna. These matches just happened. I didn't even get a chance to see the actual highlights or the freaking match themselves. I was on daddy duty, okay? Give me a break here. But I will say, Bologna losing to Verona is not a good look. Vic, what does that Serie A table look like?
Well, I'll tell you what, it is tight up top, even though Atalanta have looked absolutely unbeatable and just monstrous. Their draw on this past week give them the top spot shared with Napoli with 41 points, the number 1 and 2 spot respectively, Atalanta and Napoli. Behind them is Inter Milan with 40 points, and right behind them is Lazio, our Lazio, with 35 points, rounding out the top 4. Fighting for those Europa League spots is Fiorentina in the 5th spot with 32 points, and tied with them is Juventus with 32 points as well in the 6th spot. And then taking a look at the bottom of the table, you'll see Cagliari. They have 14 points, and Venezia no longer on the bottom spot. I gave them their shield just because they're no longer on the bottom there. I even put a little star and, made it stand out a little bit. Congratulations, Venezia, for not being on the bottom. The opposite of congratulations to Monza for being on the bottom. They're on a 4-game losing streak, and they are holding up the rest of the table with 10 points. But Snooze, you're looking at right now, top 3 teams are separated by 1 point. And one loss in the 4th, 5th, and 6th spots really change up that landscape. Tell us a little bit more about the top of the table there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, what we're talking about here, the top 16s have started to beat up on each other. We were talking about it a couple weeks ago, how everyone looked clean. Everyone was all green on the board. There was no losses, but they were going to start coming around the holidays because they were going to play each other. The only perfect performances in the last 5 matches belongs to Inter Milan, and they have 5 straight wins. That's why at this point it seems like Fiorentina and Juve aren't really serious title contenders. They're going to be up there fighting for the Europa and Conference League spots. Maybe if they string a couple of results together, they'll get to the Champions League spots. But really, that's about where Fiorentina usually is, and Juve have been on the slide for about a year and a half, maybe 2 years now. So it's fine. I mean, that's where they're going to be. Lazio, though, have had a slip of form recently, and it sees them drop to 6 points behind Atalanta and Napoli for that top spot. But they did just beat Atalanta, or they didn't beat them. They broke their winning streak with a draw. Like it's so bad. They're like, oh, you couldn't get a win. You couldn't get 12 wins in a row. You got 11 in a draw. But either way, it just speaks to Lazio being an actual threat in that top title race for the Scudetto, but not really, because it feels like they're really down to a 3-horse race at this point, because Atalanta, Napoli, and Inter are all up there with 1 point, like Vic was showing you a second ago. 1 point separates them all, with Atalanta and Napoli being level on points. And it's just really cool to see. I don't remember a time where there was this close of a race, and maybe it's not going to end this way, but as far as we are right now, a halfway point, it's fun to see. And even, I don't want to say even more fun, because that would, but equally as fun, maybe, I don't know. Venezia getting 5 points in the last 4 matches. They've now made the relegation battle super interesting, because before it seemed like they were going to be on their way out. But 5 points separates 19th from 14th. So what looked almost like a surefire yo-yo season for Venezia, they can now see the light at the end of the gondola tunnel in Venice. Well, I like saying that. But Cagliari and Monza are in awful form at the moment, though. They're kind of the opposite of what's going on with Venezia. And both of them have 4 straight losses. But the cool thing, Vic, is that they play each other this Saturday in a 6-pointer. So if there's a draw, does nobody any good. Like, you got to go for it. For these teams specifically, they need these 3 points. The only people that are good with the draw is probably Venezia, because if they can get a win, they're playing Empoli. And Empoli are sporting a 3-game losing streak. So they might be able to get some, I don't know, couple points to pick themselves out of that relegation zone. Either way, it's going to be an interesting battle. It's cool how these are kind of lining up. And we don't have a lot of games to choose from this weekend. So it's going to be pretty cool to see these play out. And this isn't the look ahead, Vic. We do that on Thursdays. But what we will say is, looking ahead to this weekend for a brief second, we talked about the Cagliari and Monza match, but we also get Napoli versus Fiorentina, which is going to be freaking awesome. And then we also get the Rome derby, or the Derby della Capitale. Is that good Italian? I don't know. Is that
for us? Yeah, for Italians.
Della Capitale. But that match is Roma versus Lazio in Rome, in their shared home, our old stomping grounds, the Stadio Olimpico, and it's going to be an awesome weekend in the Serie A. I know that there's a lot of games going on in the Prem as well, but it seems like there's going to be a lot of stakes at stake in the Serie A. There's a better way to put that. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Vic, how happy are you that Venezia is going to stay up?
To stay up, I think.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, stay up.
Hopefully.
I think there's a lot of soccer to be played left, football to be played.
I like how you put that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. Very professional answer of you there.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, if you want to take us home, we can. Or if you have anything else to talk about, very quick episode. Not a lot of games going on.
That's all I was going to say. It's a quick episode. Not a lot of games, like you just said. It's going to be the same thing next week, because there aren't any games either for La Liga or Bundesliga. They don't have games till the 10th. Except a little bit of bonus Valencia and Real Madrid actually happening on Friday.
Some makeup games, yeah.
One of the makeup days, like the bad weather days you used to have in school. They're doing that for Valencia and Real Madrid. But other than that, we will see y'all again at least next week, if not Thursday, to talk about Premier League and Serie A again. I hope everyone has a great and safe holiday. You've been safe. You've been seeing family, having some fun, and pop some fireworks. Keep all your digits. Be safe.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year coming up. And again, appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to listen to us. We will talk to you soon. Love you guys. Follow us on all our socials. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Tell us what you want us to see or what you want us to talk about here on the podcast, and we will do so. First one to comment below, we'll shout you out on the next episode. How about that? We'll try to do something like that.
Boom, let's do it.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Peace.